And that slowly but gradually drove me into firefighting knowledge, because it opened up to different people in different places and so on. And then it was just, the ground just opened beneath my feet. Basically, I said, I have no idea what I'm doing about fire behavior and so on. And also there was, Sweden had a lot of good information, but it was packaged differently in different countries. And it fascinated me how the same information could be interpreted in different ways or packaged in different ways. And it just delivered something different. So it was just fascinating. And then I was sort of hooked, because I realized the depth on firefighting, the complexity of firefighting, both like culturally, how it varies around the world, and legally, and acceptance of risk. It was so many areas that was so different compared to, like, for instance, road traffic collision. You go to road traffic collision in United States, Britain, Sweden, Germany. It basically looks the same because it's not that complicated. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying it's not that complicated in comparison, because there's the variables are way less. I am constantly surprised how fast things can go from handable to holy crap. And that hasn't happened in training buildings, because the fire doesn't go anywhere. It just stays there. There's no flashovers. There's no spreading the fire from one compartment to the other. There's no sudden increase of heat. It's just, I went into the fire compartment and that was hotter than outside. Sure, that is. And you know, if I spray water on it, there's more. But the sense of holy crap, this developed fast, that you get in real buildings, like when you do acquired structure burns, when you're sitting and watching, say, fire behavior in one room, and it starts getting to flash over, and then it just boom, flashes over, and the next compartment goes from, this is very nice, we have a good time, holy crap, there's fire everywhere. In 2-3 seconds, this shift in things, and then you can't replicate that. But in carbonaceous buildings, we can build with a combination of, I typically build a combination of propane, carbonaceous, and flammable liquids to create something that comes closer to reality, in the sense that it can go from really good to really bad fast, zero visibility to zero visibility with a high heat fast, or good visibility to zero visibility really fast. I don't think I have a real good memory, but I have, like, if I understand something, it's hard to not understand it. Like, it's like remembering something is hard, but not understanding something is not something you do. Like, when you understand it, you remember it. Like, you just get it. So I always find the short path to learning was understanding it, which is like the deeper level, of course, remembering stuff. So that just came natural to me. But then I think it's just curiosity. I've always been curious about how things work, like, and that goes for both, like, mechanical things, but also non-mechanical things. Like, well, let's start with cancer. You know, is it an issue? Sure. Is it a big issue? No. I know someone's going to have a problem with that, but if I thought it was a big issue, I wouldn't be doing what I do. So it's pretty obvious that I don't think it's a big issue. So what I mean with an issue is, of course, there's elevated risk of cancer. What I mean with it's not a big issue is, first off, if it's elevated risk, that doesn't mean it's not unmanageable. Doesn't mean, you know, like, if you're still more in danger if you smoke than if you're a firefighter. Like you have to put it in perspective. Like, it's not, oh, we can't work this job anymore, we can't do training because everybody's get cancer. No, fuck no. It's a problem. We need to manage it better, but it's not a deal breaker. So cancer is an issue, but it's not a deal breaker. So it's about management. How do you manage it? Cancer is an issue. And okay, so how to manage cancer? I divide into multiple levels. Like, I have the individual levels. That's about your own personal procedures. How do you decon? How do you wash yourself? How do you put your gear off? You know, all those things. I say most of the problems you find in personal, like, wear your BA when you should, and don't stand and smoke if you don't have to. You know, take it off in a proper order. Don't contaminate yourself if you don't have to. A ton of your own protection lies in your own procedures. Now, thermal image work by reading radiation, right? And radiation from a specific spectrum. And the spectrum is basically the ones coming out of solid materials mostly. So a thermal imager can't really see gases. Now, some gases you could see with a thermal imager. So you need particles or liquids, basically. From a fire, like the actual flame, you can see in thermal imager because the flame contains a lot of particles, a lot of soot and everything. Even from a propane flame, it will break down into soot particles inside the flame. So you will see the flame even come from propane. So the actual flame you can see. Now that doesn't help you a lot in training, because if you see the flame, you can just put water on it with your naked eyes because you don't have any smoke, because the propylene smoke is already gone. So that's a non-issue. So it's okay finding the way to the fire. Now you just have hot air coming from the fire. Basically, you have water vapor. You have CO2, which is the main part, and nitrogen. So you have you have gases coming from the fire. Now, some distance after the fire, you would get down in temperature, and a lot of that water vapor created by the fire will condense back into droplets. Tiny droplets. That's what we call in the white stuff we see sometimes is steam. Now, you don't have that amount of much from the fire, so you don't get a steam cloud inside of the container. So you don't really see, you don't see the condensed droplets. So there's nothing really to follow with the gaseous fire at all. Plus 10 years ago, I was fully convinced that fog was, of course better. Straight steam didn't even work, let alone being superior. So I was trying to make videos that made fog look good, because I needed training material to teach fog, because there was only like bad pictures in books and videos out in the parking lot. I wanted real videos with thermal imager and see everything. And I am surprised in hindsight how long I tried to make it work, even though I saw with my eyes that it didn't. Like I had to set it, because I was doing public relationship videos. That was the same thing. I get a job. I want to show how the effectiveness of this and this, fire blanket on a pot, whatever. I do that, and I take a choir structure and I make a pot fire and So I'm trying to set up something that looks like it's very good, because we want to show something to the public that this is very good. And that was part of when I started realizing, some of those things I'm trying to create are not accurate. I'm just trying to make them look accurate. But didn't I make that connection to firefighting? Because I was theoretically convinced that fog was the right way to go. I had started my instructional journey then, and I started to think about how to become a better instructor, which is basically being a salesperson for ideas, which is the hardest thing you can do. You can be two types of instructor. You could be a facilitator of ideas that are already accepted, which is the easy part. We all accept this to be right. Let's just help you train on it. So, but the other part of being an instructor is always of selling something new. You want to have a behavior shift. And that's all I do. I mean, I don't even do recruit training. I've never done a recruit training in my life. I have theoretical, I only teach senior instructors, which is my bias. I go around the world teaching fire nerds. That's what I put my effort into. Again, exactly like you said, I have to start where they are. So that's again where I come in, and I usually tell them about my journey. I take them to this crash course of my journey. I realized I was doing it this way, and I jumped through the logical hoops, which I've constructed in hindsight, about where did I need to go to the place where I think the relation lies. And basically, if I do my work correctly, I end up with firefighters going, I can't argue with Lars. I can't, it seems like a logical path. I can't pick holes in it. So now I have to start making that mental switch, which will take years, because it takes years for me. It is also a problem with, like the UK and a lot of countries where you have basically silo training. Oh, we do BA, we do ventilation, we do fire suppression. No, you can't silo it like that. Everything is entirely linked to each other. There has to be such a clear thread. You can't have BA training where you learn to stand and walk like this, and you have fire behavior training go no, down to the ground. That doesn't make any sense, of course. But like I said, if you go straight to the fire, typically that's a minute process in apartments and everything, because it's so fast. You just go fire. You get some water on it, you start to ventilate. Now everything starts to get better. Now if you burn houses, Okay, what's your priority? It's rescue. Okay, so we use the fan until we don't need the fan for rescue anymore. Okay, now we can put the fan off because we don't want the fan for fire for potentially feeding fire, like in void spaces and going up to the attic. If because we've had the exact same problem in Sweden. Officers were going, oh, but we can't use the fan because we're going to make the fire in the attic worse, for instance. And I go like, okay, so do you care about the attic when there's people to save? Of course not. But they haven't made that mental loop. So they continue going to training. They go like, no, we can't use the fan because to make the fire in the attic worse. Go like, no, you haven't finished that thought process. I draw a line on the whiteboard. I said 1 to 10. How good of a fire instructor or a firefighter would you want to be? So everybody has to go and do publicly in front of everybody else, put a dot on the line that says how good we want to be. 1 is the worst in the world. 10 is the best in the world. 5 is sort of average. How good do you want to be? And 95% of people put themselves somewhere around the range of 7 to 10. They want to be best in the world or really good. And someone's go really good. Yeah, but I have other priorities in life too. I can't spend everything on like fine. Okay, so the first one. Okay, now everybody said they want to be good. I think that's the baseline you have for an instructor. If people say they want to be bad, you have a different problem. You go out drilling on the fire. Go, yeah, what the fuck are you doing there? But people don't tend to. And I've never been to a place where people actually say they want to be bad. Now the second question is where we get to meet. Then you draw a line, 1 to 10. Whose responsibility is it for you to get good? 1 is the employer's, whoever your employer is, or 10 it's your responsibility. And they all have to go publicly and go up and put a line here. Whose responsibility is it? Because if people say, I don't want to be good, and then they said, it's the employer's job to make me good, okay, there's nothing I can do as an instructor. If you set high standards from the organization, you put a lot of emphasis on it's our responsibility to make you good. And we should train you to that position and so on. And if we don't succeed, that's going to cost a lot of money and blah, 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 blah. I think that the organization should set very low standards, and they should say, if you meet our minimum standard, you are a decent, shitty firefighter. But it's very clear that if you meet those expectations, you are basically on the low end, and you're a shitty firefighter, and you should know it. If you want to be good, it is your responsibility as an individual. These are the resources we have available. You can book extra training here. You have all this curriculum. You can watch these videos. You can do these trainings. You can take these tests. But it's your responsibility. We will help you to the level we can. Because budgets are what budgets are. But we know, and you know, that what we can afford is the minimum standard. And you should pass that. But you should know that you're a shitty firefighter. That's like, how could we be better at learning? But nobody was asking the question, what are the things that we're writing to be spread? Like, what are the actual outcomes to you? So some officer writes an incident report, I thought this worked great. How do you know that's true? It could be entirely wrong. And you want to put a lot of emphasis in spreading that to the other services. Like, I put the nozzle in this position and the fire went out. Okay, maybe the fire went out simply had nothing to do with the water. It's something someone else did something and shut the door or whatever. How do you know that this is true? Everybody should buy this nozzle. That was the outcome. How do you know that's true? And people go like, oh, that's a hard question. Let's not talk about that. Let's just focus on the easy problems. And I think that there's so many issues with that evaluation in terms of self-deception, unintentional self-deception of your brain just trying to make things work. Just incoherences in logical conclusions, and also deliberate things because you don't want to blame someone else or blame yourself for seeing things not working out. So the more I've learned about learning from experiences, the less I rely on my own and others' experience to learn from. The sense of the recruit or the trainer is coming into the training field should be that of, if I don't perform well now, I will get hurt or even die. At least I will get hurt, because that puts the emphasis on you. It's not, the instructor is just there to coach you. They're just there to help you do the right things. They're not here to just have the blanket. If you know there's a button that all the hatches go up, all the smoke out, and boom, everything's clear. Every time you do a mistake, you know, if I use my branch in the wrong way and so on. Of course, eventually, if you have telemetry, eventually you take all their self survival instinct and put it in. It doesn't matter if I do it wrong, it's going to be a fine, okay, anyway. So you find that balance between where the instructors should build a system where they know that even if they fuck up, they won't seriously get injured. Of course, you build in safety procedures, but the sense for the student should be, if I fuck up, it's going to be bad. Like there's ideally should be a misconception about how dangerous it is. The students should feel that it's more dangerous than it is. It shouldn't be that. It's still the other way around. The instructors come there and go like, oh, this is a perfectly safe. We have all these features here and there. You can do whatever you like. Don't be scared. We will take care of you. Go like, no, fuck it. It's your responsibility. We've drilled on all those things. If you fuck up here, you're going to get hurt. Okay.